Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Tower of God Chapter 385 or Season 2 Episode 305. I really liked this one, and just before this I came and saw the amount of comments and likes and everything on the live reaction, so thank you for all the support there and the past few weeks. It's been a lot, it's been great. I will say though, sorry I'm still trying to catch up on comments and all that. I will say though that this chapter might have more to discuss from the blog than the actual chapter. I really feel like I have a lot less notes than usual. And overall, this chapter was kind of like, I thought it was really good. I've seen a lot of people that didn't like it. But at the same time that I thought it was good, it's more confusing than anything, really, some of the things going on. But we'll have to see where it ends up. Because right now, of course, it may just be confusing to lead us into a good resolution. But yeah, either way, there's a lot to discuss for this, but let's go through what happened part by part and talk about my thoughts and stuff on that part by part before I go into some of the broader discussion. That way I can keep myself remembering things. Also, sorry this is a day late. I actually had most of the stuff done for it yesterday. But I ended up having to push it back to today because while I was working on it, I had to run off and do something for a couple hours. And after that, once I got back, I was like, it's 9 something. I'm going to just finish it, do the rest on Wednesday. So sorry. But yeah, either way, both Bomb and Zahard wake up from the fight and whatever. And somebody actually commented, because I brought it up too in my in the live reaction, where I was like, you just explained that Bomb can't float like they do, at least yet. And then we see that panel of him. I actually think he was falling with style. I don't think he was floating, because we only see the one panel of Bomb without the blue war or whatever, seemingly floating, and then the next panel we see him, he has the blue war. So either maybe CU made a mistake and didn't draw him with it the one time, or they just figured in the one panel he's still falling downward but he's reorienting himself in the air, and then the second panel he has the blue war that makes him float. So I don't know. I don't think he was actually floating. I think that maybe it's just maybe not the best panel to translate the action that's going on. So Zahard acknowledges Bomb, and this is something that when I was saying the things I thought could happen, this was something I brought up, but it's not really something I expected to happen over a lot of other things. I thought that CU would maybe just interrupt them, have something come in and interrupt them, rather than Zahard say, okay, you know what, it was a good fight, go make the real me adventurous, and that's basically what he did. And we found out what it was, and it was the magical Fitbit all along, Zahard's magical Fitbit. And he wants Bomb to go show it to the real him, so that the real him can get his sense of adventure back. Then we cut over to Kun's team, really just abruptly. We cut over to that team. Kun has collapsed, and Huang and Rachel's team have left. Yuan Sung has gone off to rescue the hostages, so he's not there when it happened. And Andrasi's freaking out, and I really like Andrasi's character development this arc, even though we haven't really seen too much of it lately. But we can talk more about that at the end later. Mazano completely wrecks the scale, takes the mirror. Yura, when Rachel's team and everyone approaches Yura, it seems like she's finally starting to feel betrayed by Rachel. She's finally starting to see maybe I shouldn't be working with her. Because it's not only the fact that Rachel's working with Huang, but Yura seems kind of upset that Rachel's like, I'm going to deny my actual body and who I am and take this fake body. It seems that Yura doesn't even like that. So Yura seems like she may be turning on Rachel in a way. She might be seeing that maybe I shouldn't be following her. Also, Rachel's very dumb. This whole plan, I brought up how trying to kill Kunigro Agnes here was dumb, but wanting to swap out her body is even more dumb, because logically, like I said, she won't be able to keep Big Breeder powers outside of the Floor of Death. The Big Breeder powers are to edit the data, so she can edit data to save people, edit data to make a super powerful attack. So she's super powerful, but the real world isn't made of data, so she logically shouldn't have those powers in the real world. And also she would lose the powers that are attached to her real body. The, what did I call it? The Minazuki. The Minazuki is attached to her real body. So if she leaves her real body, she should lose that logically, because we haven't seen that attached to Icarus. We've only seen it attached to the real body. And I like that we have a cut over to the real body. Maybe, what was it? Not Jock. Hyung or something like that. Whatever the blue guy's name is. Maybe he'll tear the helmet off of her or something and get rid of Icarus. But yeah. And all of this, she's kind of picked a dumb idea to try to, or dumb time to try to kill Agro Agnes, because we know somehow or another he'll survive. And we kind of discussed a bit of why it might not have been the best time. So there's that. There's the fact that she's probably going to lose a lot of her power and be a lot less strong just for the sake of looking differently. And the entire purpose of her being here on this floor was that she was trying to get it before Bomb got it, so that she can get the second Thorn Fragment. Because, thank you for reminding me, that's what the second Fitbit was, or that's what the Fitbit is for, to trade for the second fragment. But, so, she's losing her powers, she's not even getting it in the process, and to tell you the truth, I think that she is, she's going to be less attractive, maybe? I don't know. Sweaty Freckles Rachel is more attractive than Icarus Rachel, I will say. Because remember, there's that one chapter or so in the Floor of Death arc where she was all sweaty and stuff, and I was like, hello, I'm coming around to Rachel. So yeah, Sweaty Freckles Rachel is sexier, is better Rachel anyway. So the scale, we find out from Zahard, will destroy the place if the balance is extremely off. He says destroy the level. So I'm wondering if it'll only destroy the place where they are, or like the whole hidden floor, or which is something I brought up before, but if we destroy the whole hidden floor, that'll kind of render Bottas's story kind of pointless in the end of things. So I don't know if I like that, if it destroys the entire place, and it's weird. So then they say the power of the real Zahard will interfere to wipe out the extreme, like, unbalance or whatever. And then real Zahards Power shows up and takes the Fitbit. I thought it was a really good chapter. A lot of the things that are going on are really confusing, because logically I'll say that Bomb, especially a tired, weakened Bomb, if this is real Zahard, just for the sake of that, he should be able to just snap Bomb into inexistence. He's so powerful. Because even though Bomb is comparable to Zahard at the same place in the tower, I think when we see Bomb, once Bomb as a ranker is going to be like nothing compared to what he is now. He's going to be just so much more powerful that you can't even compare the two. So I would say that the same goes for Zahard. Zahard is probably so strong that he should be able to just wipe Bomb out like it's nothing. And then, at the same time, there is kind of a way to get out of this. Zahard shouldn't have a reason to let him live, the real Zahards Power. So the only way, this isn't the real Zahard, this is just a part of his power, so that's the only explanation I can figure out. The only explanation I can figure out is if CU says, well, it's just a small piece of his power or something, and that's how Bomb can find some way to escape. And even then, it seems like there's no good way to write for CU to write himself out of this. I don't see a good way to write between Bomb and the real Zahards Power this early on, so I think it is too early to be showing real Zahard. Also, I hope, because all this is happening and the floor of death is falling apart, I hope we don't get to just skim over the stuff happening with Rack that we've already skimmed over a lot, with Andrasi, with Agro Agnes. It seems like we've already skimmed over a lot of that stuff a lot, even though some of it's been really good. I just hope we don't skim over more of it, because CU's trying to wrap up the arc too quickly. I thought the resolution to Bomb and Zahard's fight was really good, though, the way Zahard decided to acknowledge him. I think that's a really good way to end it. I just think that all of this nonsense with bringing in, we have young Zahard, we have the power Fitbit, we have the new power of Zahard data. I just think that all of that is a little bit too early, and it's a little bit nonsense. I'm still going to give it 8 magical Fitbit out of 10, because the first time I read this, I really, really enjoyed it and loved it. It's just that as I read it a few more times and started thinking more about the story and stuff, I was like, this might not be very good. Some stuff to talk about from the blog before I get into more general discussion. CU confirms in the blog, this isn't real, this isn't like legitimate data Zahard. This is just a part of Zahards Power that was converted into data. so we can assume it's not as strong as the real Zahard since it's only part of the power and it's been converted into data, and I think there's probably limits on that. So it's not the real Zahard. It's probably not as strong as the real one. I just don't get the point right now. I'm just a little bit confused. We'll have to see how it ends up. He also mentions that Data Zahard, the young Zahard, isn't good, and that's not why he decided to spare Bomb. He's just addicted to adventure. He lets Bomb go because he wants Bomb to get away with the magical Fitbit and bring the real him to go to an adventure. He doesn't do it because he's actually good. He also mentions that Rachel has changed since the beginning of the series, and we see that she's more active and bold. Also, some more things with the magical Fitbit. It's an interesting discussion to have where if Bomb shouldn't really trade it for the Thorn, should he? Because Zahard said that it was a key to power that can defeat Zahard. So shouldn't he use it to get that power? Or he told him to take it to real Zahard. Should he do that? So there's a lot of reasons why Bomb should maybe keep it rather than trading it for the second Thorn fragment, which means they're going to need another way of getting the Thorn fragment from Popet Augustin. So that's all weird. And another thing that I wanted to talk about was I saw this when I was on Reddit trying to look for the blog translation. I saw an essay on, somebody. I'm sorry, I don't have the because I'm not really going to explain what they said bit by bit, but basically they were just bringing up that they think the story's got a lot less complex and a lot less good recently. And basically the main point of it is Bomb's getting too many random power-ups. He always has a ranker there to save him. We're just focused on Bomb and not really developing enough of the world and characters around him. And I wanted to discuss that just a little bit, because I was thinking that a lot in the Floor of Death, and still a little bit during this arc, where it feels like ever since mid-Hell Train, what we've been doing on Hell Train, we've started to give up on developing a lot of the other characters very much. We've just been focused on Bomb all the time, and I feel like CU's pacing has gone too fast. I say all the time he should take a break and take it easy and stuff, and that's good for his health. I think that's true, but I also think he should take it slower in the story. I think that we're rushing too much trying to get to the end of every arc, that we're not really developing what's going on in the arc. Like, compare this to One Piece arcs, where each arc has its own characters that feel important to that arc story, and each arc story plays into the main story, but it's still a story on its own, and that's not true for a lot of Tower of God arcs, especially lately. They're not stories on their own like they used to be. And it feels like the side characters, again, way less developed. We got a bit of development this arc, which I was really happy for Andrasi and Kunagro Agnes, and even some for Rack that hasn't really gone anywhere yet. And I liked that. I think it's a huge step up from Floor of Death. That's why I really like this arc. Especially the past few chapters I thought were really, really good and helped develop Bomb a lot. But there was a huge problem around Floor of Death time where it was just, this wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back for me like it was for them. I actually think it's been a lot better lately, but Floor of Death, it became kind of hard for me to be positive about the series that much, because it seemed like just hyper-focus on Bomb, power-up after power-up after power-up, with no real character development to back it up, other than getting Bomb's backstory, which, other than the chapters when we were getting the backstory, ended up not playing that huge a role. So those were problems I had, whereas this arc we've done a lot better, because instead of just power up after power up, Bomb's been getting stronger, but it's been more character development. He's been getting stronger logically because of his improvement as a person. So it has been better in that aspect, but I still don't feel like we've been developing the world around him much. We barely got to see any of the actual hidden floor. We just jumped around from stage to stage and skipped most of the things they actually had to do and did most of it off screen, and that was a lot of what happened with with the Floor of Death. And with the Floor of Death, a problem I had, and I think the Name Hunt Station was amazing, but this arc had that problem too, where in the Name Hunt Station we skimmed over a lot of the 10 bosses or whatever, just took care of them off screen, did a lot of the character stuff off screen, and I was like, wouldn't the arc have been much better if it was like twice as long, but we actually got real development and real fights for all those characters? It would be so much better. but instead we just rushed so that Bomb could have his focus there. And I think that it ended up being really, really good because there was a lot of character stuff and a lot of importance and a lot more world building and arc building in Name Hunt Station than in the next 2 arcs afterward. But the Hidden Floor so far, I think, has been better than that because we've at least got good development for Bomb and a little bit for the side characters. But Floor of Death was a real low point for me for the series. Other than Bomb's past, I really did not like most of it, and I thought that Heljo had an awesome design and everything, but he wasn't really utilized that well as a character. And I still feel like this arc, the point I was getting at, is that some problems that carried over were that there were plot points in Name Hunt Station and plot points in Floor of Death that never really got resolved. So you just kind of dropped them and said, oh well, the people only care about Bomb, so let's drop all these side plots. We had all these characters introduced, like Charlotte. Look at Charlotte in Floor of Death. Character was introduced, one of Heljo's subordinates, and most of Heljo's subordinates were like this. We get introduced, oh well, nothing ever happens with them. We could have had them as big fights, emotional, developed with characters from Bomb's group that would develop those characters from Bomb's group, but instead we just rushed past them so we could get Bomb dealing with Heljo, but mostly getting saved by Yurik, just like he gets saved by Yuri almost every arc, which is why I don't like, and I've said before, I love Yuri as a character, but I don't at all want her traveling with them because she's just an out. It makes it so there's no drama or anything, because whenever Bomb's in trouble, I'm just like, Yuri's gonna save him. So there's been a lot of problems the past few arcs, and I feel like the main point of the problem is that CU is rushing, trying to say, okay, we need to know this part of Bomb's story, we need to know this part of Bomb's story, and he's trying to move forward so much on the main story that he's like forgetting to develop any of the actual arcs. None of the arcs are like full-on arcs anymore. They're all just pieces of Bomb's story. And like as an arc, a lot of them don't make the characters grow. A lot of them aren't fully realized. So I feel like that's a problem. And I don't know if the cause is because CU is worked too hard by Naver, maybe. Maybe they're like, okay, you need to progress more in the story. People need more of this. We need you to do more of this. And maybe that's why he never takes a break. That's what I've always theorized, is that Naver just works him so hard and never allows him to take these breaks. But it's also a possibility that it's a cultural difference. Because I was thinking about this earlier. I was like, maybe audiences, I don't know what Korean audiences are like, but maybe that's what they prefer. Instead of a really developed or impactful series with a lot of nuance and a lot of character development, maybe they just want simple shonen people punching stuff. I don't know, because again, there are a lot of shows just like reality TV and stuff here in America where it's like there's nothing complicated or thought-provoking about any of it, but if there weren't people who wanted to watch something that they didn't have to think about whatsoever, there wouldn't be a market for it and it wouldn't exist. So it makes me wonder if maybe it's just a cultural difference. Maybe people don't want a deep, developed, complex story. They just want people punching each other. So yeah, I don't know. It's just been that while I'm not that negative about the series, I still think it's great and I love it. And like I said, I think that from that low point, we're going back up. This is certainly far from the best Tower of God arc, but we're definitely going back up from the low point that was Floor of Death. But even then, I feel like we've had a lot of problems just in the general story writing throughout the whole Hell Train, because it felt like every single arc was good, and I liked pretty much every single one, all the way up through the workshop battle. Then Hell Train started. I thought it started off great. It would have a good arc, it would have a meh arc, and then it led up to Dollar Show, which is probably my favorite arc ever. There was so much to talk about in Dollar Show. Then it led to Name Hunt Station, another one of my favorite arcs, but it definitely had a lot of problems. And then the problems just got worse and worse as we went along. And even though this arc is better, those problems are still very much there. So, yeah, I didn't want to be so negative, but I wanted to give my thoughts for sure on how the series has changed a lot from the beginning, and kind of become more, I don't know, more simple, more about Bomb and less about building the world, or less about building up other characters, less about developing even Bomb, and just a bit more about powers. So I feel like maybe that's not a permanent thing. Maybe it can improve and get better, get not back to what it was, but become something new and better. Maybe it can improve, but I feel like the past few arcs have been a bit of a downgrade. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the series, but I think maybe CU's just a little burnt out from working non-stop and is trying to push the story too fast, and maybe they just need a break. Maybe they need to take it slower. So that'd be my best guess at what's going on. But either way, I filled in, since the chapter was pretty short, I filled in with a lot of discussion there. So either way, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like if you did like the video, comment down there, tell me what you thought of this chapter, what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more Tower of God, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. And if you want a link to our Discord server to talk with me or more of us there, then just ask and I'll give you a link. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.